everyone, welcome to another resource review from Autism Grown Up. I'm Dr. Tara, the Executive Director and your host of this series. And for this resource review, we're going to be going over a website that helps with sharing some information about the Medicaid IDD waiver. For those of you who are new to this series, this is our second episode of it, so this has been really exciting to do so far, and I'm excited to keep doing them along the way. Something I've learned along this path of running Autism Grown Up is that there aren't a lot of resources out there for growing up and navigating adulthood. And for those that do exist, it's really hard to get this information out there. So we're doing our part of sharing and reviewing what's out there and how you can use this resource today. Now, I mentioned this is a site. It's called medicaidwaiver.org, and it's just really simple. It's something I use all of the time with the families and professionals I've worked with. It's essentially a compilation of Medicaid IDD waiver information on a statewide basis. So if I'm in here in North Carolina, which I am, and I'm working with a family that lives in California or Washington, I'm mostly familiar with it here in North Carolina, but each state actually does things a little bit differently. And this website has all of this information on there, and it allows me to help these families who live there get started. And it also helps families who are looking to move to a different state to see what resources and services are available for the Medicaid IDD waiver. And I realized before I go into the website, I need to kind of back up a little bit, because I know, and I really know this, that this information isn't widely shared out there. This isn't out there really whatsoever. States can do a really great job with their Department of Health and Human Services or Department of Developmental Services. Again, each state has their own name for this organization and agency within their state, and that they do provide services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but the dissemination process is still taking its time. In fact, for my family, we got off the wait list, and that's a whole nother video on its own, is the wait list for these services. But we only found out about this waiver from a parent of a classmate in my youngest brother's special ed classroom in elementary school. That's the only way we found out. And we had just moved to the state, and my other brother Tyler, he was about to be entering middle school, and we just did not have this information whatsoever. And the Medicaid IDD waiver itself, the services vary by state, but essentially this is a home and community-based waiver that provides services for an individual with an intellectual or developmental disability to access the community from wherever they live. If they live at home, or they want to be in a group home, or need even more supervised care, they can receive those services through this funding mechanism. That's what it's often referred to as, a funding mechanism. And the Medicaid waiver takes different forms and takes different names in each state, and each state has different services and service definitions, as well as eligibility requirements, application process, who to contact, of course, and who are the providers within the state that actually give these services. And this website provides a really great start to getting this information. Now let's cut to this website. Alright, so I am on the homepage for the medicaidwaiver.org website. As you can see here at the top, they provide information on all disability services and waivers associated with the Medicaid waiver for all 50 states. I love a clear website. So there's more info here about what is a Medicaid waiver, if you would like to have a little bit more information there, and it also covers the Medicaid waiver is a lot bigger than IDD too, so there's some more information about senior care, a little bit of broad strokes here on this website about waiver eligibility. Like I mentioned before, waiver eligibility depends on the state that you're in, so they do get more specific once you click through to a state. Which states have Medicaid waivers, what to do before you move, just a couple tips. And then waivers on autism. These are ones that I'm not too familiar with, but I'd be happy to look into those for a future series. Comment below if that's something you're interested in. All right, so I'm going to click through to a state. I know North Carolina's fairly well, and I can attest that this website does keep this information mostly up to date in terms of who to contact, broad strokes about service definitions and how to get started. So those are really the key things that you need anyway, and it gives you a starter on what is available by your state. So I'm going to click to one that I'm not too familiar with, like Minnesota. Let's do that one. Again, they break things down pretty much on this left side about more information about what programs are available to assist people with disabilities in Minnesota. So they do have more information on this website about other types of care, who covers this Medicaid waiver program in Minnesota, who to go to, what's the best number to get started, the website, awesome, who qualifies for assistance. So to be eligible, developmental disability in Minnesota, again, this is a state-specific description. To be eligible, that person must have an IQ and adaptive scores under 70. They may also be eligible if they have a related condition and some other limitations. Okay, so they also link to their statutes there. Also key here, a good question that many families ask, and this website does provide info about, is, are there income limits? Something really, really important to know before you get started too. How old do you have to be to start receiving services in Minnesota? Both of these are unknown, so that's something to confirm. And then, is there a wait list? Another big question. Yes, there is a wait list here, and it looks like at this point of the website doesn't provide any information on when it was most recently updated, so that makes it a little difficult to see if this is the most up-to-date information or not. So again, this is probably best for just a broad strokes understanding of what is available in terms of options from the Medicaid IDD waiver within your state. Information about maybe some assistance while you are on the wait list. This is a good one here. What services are offered and what are the service limitations? This gives you a big laundry list of what services Minnesota provides under the Medicaid IDD waiver. Adult daycare, day habilitation, day training and day habilitation, housing access coordination, in-home family support services, respite. Those are some common ones anyway that I like to point out. More info about community group homes and supported living. Not every state page, I will attest, shows all of this information. And then how do you select a provider? How do you become a provider if that's something you're interested in pursuing? And some additional information including SSI, which is also an important consideration too. And then the right side here, there's more information about Minnesota specific waivers for those who are looking for this information and have these particular needs. And that's really it. This website is really, really helpful for families and professionals who are looking to get started and to learn more about the Medicaid IDD waiver, especially when it comes to their state. And it has a lot of the elements that I really like. It's clear, it's actionable, the website isn't confusing to use, and you can get started right away. And it's also not perfect, so I'm not sure how up to date it is. I can say for North Carolina's page and for maybe a couple others that they are fairly up to date with information, but I don't know how often they update this website. To get the most up to date information, it's best to contact your local Department of Health and Human Services or Disability Services, whatever your state calls that organization and agency. And that's it for this week's resource review. Comment below if this is something you found helpful. We can also continue the conversation in the Autism Grown Up online community here, and I'd be happy to chat with you to walk you through the process of getting this started. Also, this information, like I mentioned at the start of this video, isn't widely shared. Not a lot of people know about the Medicaid IDD waiver. Pass this video along to someone you know, a professional, parent, autistic individual who needs this information. This can be really helpful for them to get started on this process because the wait list can be very, very long. And the earlier you start on this, earlier the better. And we are also taking suggestions and requests for resources to review. Click into the description box below. There's a link where you can submit a resource and maybe you will see it covered in a future resource review. And that is it for me today. I will talk with y'all next week. Bye.